The election now is 8 days away, and a lot of you have probably voted maybe last weekend or even before that. But as you drop your ballot in the mail or drop box, a fair number of you are wondering, hey, what happens next? You sent us questions, we got answers from an expert, Multnomah County Director of Elections, Tim Scott. Here's our first question from Pat. Please show how our ballot boxes will be protected from people stuffing the boxes. Will they be watched by security? Thanks for that question, Pat. Love that name, by the way. Here's the answer from Tim Scott. Every ballot envelope is mailed with a unique ballot ID and barcode. If the ballot envelope does not contain those features, we will not process the ballot inside. If someone requests a replacement ballot and has 2 ballots in their possession, only the most recent issued ballot ID is valid. The other one is made invalid at the time of generating the replacement ballot. Sometimes seeing the process helps explain this stuff. Last week, we took a tour of Multnomah County's election headquarters. Here's part of that story that deals with your envelope and how it helps keep the voting system secure. The first stop for your ballot inside Multnomah County election headquarters is this big sorting machine. Elections Director Tim Scott is showing us around. He said people used to do this work, but COVID made that impossible. Federal tax money paid for the $275,000 machine, which now does the job of 24 people.
It's doing several things. The first thing it's doing is it's scanning that barcode.
And what is it telling it? What's the barcode telling it?
That barcode is the unique identifier for this envelope. So this envelope is uniquely identified by the ballot ID. So no one else in this election is going to get that identification number. And that pairs up with the voter. So we know when we scan this ballot, this barcode, we know that that voter has returned a ballot. And if that barcode isn't readable, or it isn't a barcode that's eligible for this election, it's going to get kicked out into the bin number 1. That's where all the rejects go.
Rejections happen for a few reasons. Maybe someone used an envelope from a past election. That's what this is. Or maybe they forgot to sign the outside of the envelope, which is what happened here. In those cases, the voter is contacted and the problem fixed. So you see, it wouldn't really work to stuff the ballot box. We're not just throwing pieces of paper in there that say yes or no. Your ballot is protected by that barcode on your envelope. And no, you can't just create your own barcode. That would be rejected by the sorting machine. If you get one vote, you got to use it right. Tim Scott told me if you have a ballot at home and request a second one because you lost that first one, well, yeah, they'll send you a second ballot, but as soon as they do that, the barcode on that first envelope is canceled. And if you somehow accidentally send the first one in anyway, sorry, gets rejected by the sorting machine. And while we're talking about security, let's remember that not everyone's concerned about it. Chet took me to task last week when I said election security is on everyone's mind these days. He wrote in to say, it is not at the top of everyone's mind. Some of us still believe our elections are safe and secure, and we know there has been no credible evidence of widespread cheating or fraud. Our voting system is fine, but I fear for the country's future with so many people ready to believe empty rumors and lies. Fair enough, Chet. Thanks for the feedback. I really do appreciate it. And he is correct. Despite the former president's lies, there was no widespread voter fraud in the last presidential election. Even his attorney general called some of the claims bull and nonsense. All right, let's move on. What about that signature that you're supposed to put on the outside of the envelope? Several of you had questions about that. Rob wrote in to say they stopped teaching cursive writing some time ago. Young people don't have a cursive signature. How do they deal with that on the ballots? Printed? Here's Tim Scott's answer. Regardless of how the registration card is signed, we can usually make a match to the ballot signature. Usually 99% or more of signatures are matched without follow-up with the voter. Kathy had another signature question. She'd like to know, if a person registered to vote online, how is that person's signature established in order to compare it to the one on the envelope? Tim Scott replies, DMV supplies the signature for voters who registered to vote online or through automatic registration at the DMV. In other words, when you give your signature to get your driver's license, well, the DMV has that on file and they share it with the election folks to verify your signature. And Curtis writes in to ask, people's signature change over time. How do I know my current signature is matching against the one I used when I registered to vote 20 plus years ago? If my current signature does not match, does my vote not count? That's a great question, Curtis. Here's Tim Scott's answer. People's signatures do change over time, but they generally contain a lot of the same characteristics. We can usually make a match based on those similarities. However, if there are not enough similarities to make a match, we will send a letter to the voter with a registration form, and they have 21 days until after the election to return the new registration form with a signature that matches the ballot signature. The majority of people who receive these letters respond, and we are able to count their ballots. So, it doesn't matter if your signature changed over the years or you use block letters or whatever. They can indeed figure it out. And if they can't, they'll get a hold of you. Here's more from that tour that we took at Multnomah County, where that mail sorting machine also plays a key role. The machine also makes sure the signature on the envelope is yours.
So it's scanning that barcode, then it's capturing the signature that's on the envelope, and then that signature is what's used for signature verification against the voter registration signature.
And the computer's doing that?
We do have what we call automatic signature verification, and that's installed on this machine, and that software is set to basically capture 100%. You know, if the signature matches 100%, it's going to say yes, it's good.
Okay, and the point of all that is to make sure that somebody isn't using your name, but it's not you, and they're trying to copy your signature?
That's correct. The signature is one of the primary security features of vote by mail. That's so we can be sure that when we mailed the ballot to you, that we have a relationship with you already because you registered to vote and you gave us a signature. And then when you return that ballot, we're matching the signature from the envelope to the voter registration signature to make sure it's you that voted the ballot.
The reason it's so important to make sure the envelope came from you is that once it's opened up and the ballot is taken out, your ballot joins a sea of others with no way to trace it back to you. Okay, and then is there that same barcode, is that on the ballot that I fill out as well?
No, there is no, in Multnomah County, we don't put unique identifiers on our ballots. So once it comes out of the envelope, it's no longer associated with you. That's why we do so much work to verify that it is you before it comes out of the ballot, or comes out of the envelope.
Okay. So what if I want to go back and verify that my vote was actually counted correctly? Is there a way to do that?
Not currently in Oregon. I mean, we do audits after every election, and you could come witness those audits, but there would be no way to identify your ballot for privacy reasons. There would be no way to verify that your ballot is among the ones that were being audited.
There's more to that report, and you can watch the whole thing. Just go to KGW's YouTube page and look for The Story playlist. Do you have other election-related questions? Send them along. Our email is thestory@kgw.com, or you can call and leave a voicemail on our message machine. The number is 503-226-5090.